What you call that? Head over heels. No money, no family. 16 in the middle of Miami. No money, no family. 16 in the middle of Miami. No money,
What the fuck are you doing?
There is a really good reason why out of all the nations in the world, South Africa is the country to bring Israel to the International Court of Justice over claims of genocide and apartheid and blatant discrimination of Palestinians. And that's because, the lawyers, the barristers, the legal professionals that you see on the legal team for South Africa are those who have most likely existed during the times of apartheid South Africa. And during this time, a extremely racist South African government was in power. They won the election, they gave 80% of the land to 20% of the people. Can you guess what kind of people it was? Not only that, but they implemented laws and policies to prevent white people mixing with black people or other people. And you're forced to live in specific areas based on your ethnicity. So Israeli weapons sold to apartheid South African government to enforce racist policies have fueled a generation of lawyers and barristers.
So the room must listen to me, filibuster vigilantly.
Madam President, distinguished members of the court, it is an honor and a privilege for me to appear before you today on behalf of the Republic of South Africa. I wish to express my gratitude to the court for convening this hearing on the earliest possible date to entertain South Africa's request for the indication of provisional measures in this matter. In our application, South Africa has recognized the ongoing Nakba of the Palestinian people through Israel's colonization since 1948, which has systematically and forcibly dispossessed, displaced, and fragmented the Palestinian people, deliberately denying them their internationally recognized inalienable right to self-determination and their internationally recognized right of return as refugees to their towns and villages in what is now the State of Israel. We are also particularly mindful of Israel's institutionalized regime of discriminatory laws, policies and practices designed and maintained to establish domination, subjecting the Palestinian people to apartheid on both sides of the Green Line. Decades-long impunity for widespread and systematic human rights violations has emboldened Israel in its recurrence and intensification of international crimes in Palestine. At the outset, South Africa acknowledges that the genocidal acts and omissions by the State of Israel inevitably form part of a continuum of illegal acts perpetrated against the Palestinian people since 1948. The application places Israel's genocidal acts and omissions within the broader context of Israel's 75-year apartheid, 56-year occupation, and 16-year siege imposed on the Gaza Strip, a siege which itself has been described by the director of UNRWA Affairs in Gaza as a silent killer of people. As the Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination warned on December 21st, hate speech and dehumanizing discourse targeted at Palestinians is raising severe concerns regarding Israel and other states' parties' obligation to prevent crimes against humanity and genocide in the Gaza Strip. This warning has been followed by a succession of warnings, including by 37 United Nations special rapporteurs, of the failure of the international system to mobilize to prevent genocide in Gaza. Today, we are joined in court by representatives of the Palestinian state, the Palestinians who work in the fields of human rights, including residents of Gaza who were in Gaza just a few days ago. They are some of the lucky ones who managed to get out of Gaza. Their future and the future of their fellow Palestinians who are still in Gaza depend on the decision this court will make on this matter. With the leave of the court, I now call upon His Excellency, Mr. Ronald Lamola, Minister of Justice of the Republic of South Africa, to make South Africa's substantive opening remarks.
I thank the agent of South Africa for his statement, and I now invite the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services for the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency Mr. Ronald Lamola, to take the floor. You have the floor, Excellency.
Thank you, Madam President, and distinguished members of the court. It is an honor for me to stand here in front of you on behalf of the Republic of South Africa on this exceptional case. In extending our hands across the miles to the people of Palestine, we do so in full knowledge that we are part of a humanity that is at one. These were the words of our founding president, Nelson Mandela. This is the spirit in which South Africa acceded to the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of Crime of Genocide in 1998. This is the spirit in which we approach this court. As a contracting party to the Convention, this is a commitment we owe to the people of Palestine and Israelis alike. As previously mentioned, the violence and the destruction in Palestine and Israel did not begin on the 7th of October 2023. The Palestinians have experienced systematic oppression and violence for the last 76 years. On 6 October 2023 and every day since October the 7th, 2023. In the Gaza Strip, at least since 2004, Israel continues to exercise control over the airspace, territorial waters, land crossing, water, electricity, and civilian infrastructure, as well as over key government functions. Entry and exit by air and sea to Gaza is strictly prohibited, with Israel operating the only two crossing points. Given that continuing effective control by Israel and over the territory of Gaza, Israel is still considered by international community to be under belligerent occupation by Israel. South Africa unequivocally condemned the targeting of civilians by Hamas and other Palestinian armed groups and the taking of hostages on the 7th of October 2023. And has again expressly recorded this condemnation, mostly recently in its note verbal to Israel on the 21st of December 2023. That said, no armed attack on a state territory, no matter how serious, even an attack involving atrocity crimes, can provide any justification for or defense to breaches to the Convention, whether as a matter of law or morality. Israel's response to the 7th of October 2023 attack has crossed this line and give rise to the breaches of the Convention. Faced with such evidence and our duty to do what we can do to prevent genocide, as contained in Article 1 of the Convention, the South African government initiated this case. South Africa welcomes the fact that Israel has engaged with the case in order to have the matter resolved by the court, after careful and objective consideration of the facts and submission put before it, as the parties to the Convention have intended. This hearing is concerned with South Africa's request to the court for the indication of provisional measures and will necessarily have a narrow and particular focus. I invoke the words of Martin Luther King when he said, "The arch of the moral of the universe is long, always bending towards justice." South Africa's case will be presented by a team of 6 legal counsels, comprising of Dr. Adila Hasim, Mr. Tembeka Nzukaitobi, Professor John Dugat, Ms. Blim Leckrone, Mr. Max Dupris, and Professor Vaughan Lowe. Dr. Adila Hasim Senior Counsel will provide an overview of the risk of genocidal acts in the perpetual vulnerability to acts of genocide. Mr. Tembeka Ngcukaitobi, Senior Counsel, will examine Israel's alleged genocidal intent. Professor John Dugat, Senior Counsel, will focus on the prima facie jurisdiction. Professor Max Duplessis, Senior Counsel, will discuss the various rights currently under threat. Blinny Crowell, King's Counsel, will present the argument of agency and potential irreparable harm. And Professor Wagenlow, King's Counsel, will speak on the provisional measures. I now request, Madam President, the court to call on Dr. Hassim. I thank you.
His Excellency, Mr. Lamola, and I now invite Ms. Adila Hassim to address the court. You have the floor, madam.
So Australia and New Zealand, Anzacs were allies with the British.
You really like digging yourself a hole, hey? You realise that Australia and New Zealand are part of the Commonwealth. We're not allies. Okay, allies is like Britain and America, or freaking France and Switzerland. Two completely different countries with no government type of ties. Okay, Britain goes to war, the Anzacs follow. It's just the way it is, because we're part of the Commonwealth, not allies. You might want to double check what you're saying before you actually say it, because us Aussies and us Kiwis, we're going to come after you every time you stuff up. It's what we do.
Of Gaza to the rest of the world, 17 million people come to your Instagram page to see images out of Gaza, raw, visceral, unfiltered, heartbreaking. What is your message to the people watching you tonight in America who don't follow you on Instagram, who aren't seeing those images? What do you want them to know about what is happening in Gaza that they don't know?
The first message is don't call yourself a free people, a free person, if you can't make changes, if you can't stop a genocide that is still ongoing since the first day. We are so close to be 100 days of murdering and genocide. So don't you call yourself a free person if you can't stop someone to kill someone else. Because what I witness here, that all the world is ruled by a people that no one in the whole world can say no to them, or they can't stop them. So nobody shall call himself a free person if he's watching another human being getting murdered in front of him, a live show by a young photographer who's just coming to show the world that and he can't stop this. People call Montez like a hero, a superhero. Montez didn't choose this. Montez didn't want this. But I don't want you to justify what is happening, but to forget about what is happening by calling someone a superhero and forget the people who are under like tons of trouble and they died there by a missile. Maybe you shared with your taxes to give it to the occupation.
We will unfortunately have to leave it there. We're out of time. Motaz Azeza, thank you so much for your time today.
For naming their children 25-letter names that they're never going to get even pronounced right, let alone spelled right. Like, why would you do that?
Over there. Do you know why they actually do that? Yeah. The reason for that is because during slavery, their identities were taken away. So they had to have unique names in order to identify their offspring when they were sold from different plantations. So that came down generationally as generational trauma.
Okay, well, how about now? Isn't that sort of trauma for that poor kid that's never going to have his name spelled right?
Only to your standards.
Like, what is...
If I were that child, I wouldn't want my name misspelled all the way through or mispronounced by people.
That's because people can't take the time to pronounce it correctly.
Whatever.
You can say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, but you can't say Jaquan. Are you kidding me?
Okay, whatever the result is, the poor child does not have his name pronounced correctly or spelled correctly.
Because people do not take the time. You can take the extra 2 seconds to do it, but instead you're sitting here making fun of a whole culture of people for things that they didn't have a choice on.
Do you have a name that gets misspelled a lot?
I sure don't. Well, because my mom whitewashed my name.
So that's racist.
Beautiful symbol of the Christmas tree and used it to push your agenda, posting the word Palestine.
Oh, I wonder what we celebrate Christmas for. Oh, is it for the birthplace of Jesus? Oh, I wonder where Jesus was born. Oh, Bethlehem? Oh, I wonder where Bethlehem is. Oh, it's in the West Bank. Oh, that's crazy. That's insane.
Stay in the box. No! Stay in the box. No! Get out of my skin!
You know what, Ireland? No one gives you credit for the hard work you do. You know, you look after us, you acknowledge Indigenous peoples. You're going places, my guy. Oh, hey guys. Wow, look what we have here. This is awkward, isn't it? You should be ashamed, you know that? Sitting on a sideline like that. Oh, no, too right. But look, I'm here now, so... You're alright, come on. Oh, I'm in. Hello for everyone, I'm here. Samoa, welcome. Yo, what happened? You couldn't make it to the last time we voted. What happened? Car breakdown. Well, look, I'm glad you're back. Come on. Can I come? No, you can't come in here. Fix your government. It's bloody corrupt. But I like being corrupt.
If my disability was visible, I bet you would be genuinely appalled by the amount of pain that I'm in right now. Genuinely shocked and confused about how I am functioning and operating underneath these conditions.
South Africa stands with Israel.
Yeah, if not reading a room was a person, hoe gaan vir fucking Edith hier so? Ja,
I think I like this little life. This little life. I think I like this little life.
You having an unnatural allegiance to losers is not like you.
How I love being a woman.
And just notice for my people up in Gaza and Ramallah, and it's free Palestine until it's backwards, motherfucker. I'm a speaker for my people, fuck.